Hello beautiful friends, happy new moon, happy build up to the new moon. We have a massive week this week, so much energy, some really incredibly auspicious dates that I'm going to tell you about that you can work with to create some really long-term success in various areas of your lives. Very exciting. The new moon is super powerful. There's some tension and some challenges in the build up. We're going to get into all of it. I'm going to hopefully run through all sun and rising signs to give you an idea about what this new moon is going to be seeding for you. But of course, before we begin, it is a beautiful day in Wurundjeri country, and I pay my deep respects to all Wurundjeri and Woiwurrung people of the Kulin Nations, all First Nations people. I'm speaking to you from Wurundjeri Woiwurrung lands, and these lands were stolen, never ceded, and I pay my respects to their elders past, present, becoming, and to all First Nations people tuning in. Big love, big respect to all of you who are here. So I want to begin by giving a general overview for the week, and you can just watch this to get a sense of all the different energies that are at play this week, and then you can jump directly into your sun and rising signs by clicking on the time coded stamp below in the description below. So this week we have a lot happening. Of course, we have the new moon in Aries on Monday. The new moon is exact at about 12 midday Eastern Standard Time, so adjust that to your time zone. And it's really powerful because we have so many planets in the sign of Aries. We have a lot of build-up leading to this new moon, which is kind of preparing us for this transition, this shift, this new emergence of an energy which is going to be quite exhilarating, hopefully, and energizing, because Aries is such an energized sign. We've begun the astrological new year when the sun moved into Aries, but now we have Chiron at 9 degrees of Aries. We have Mercury, who has finally moved out of Pisces, where it was in its fall, and communications and information was obscured and confusing and difficult to articulate the specifics of what we're trying to get across during that period of time. Now that Mercury is in Aries, it is direct, and it is in mutual reception with Mars in Gemini, because Mercury rules Gemini and Mars rules Aries. They're in each other's home signs, so we call that mutual reception. And that means that both of those planets have extra ability to do what they're trying to do under the auspices of the other planet. So Mars is able to take powerful action in communication and in dealing with information, with ideas, with perceptions, in terms of dealing with technological stuff, with business material. And Mercury in Aries is very direct and very assertive and very clear about what it's going for. We also have Ceres at 9 degrees, the asteroid Ceres, and she is Demeter in Greek mythology, the mother of Persephone, who was kidnapped by Hades and taken to the underworld, eventually became the queen of the underworld. Ceres is the mother goddess, who is an incredibly fierce nature goddess who rules the seasons. She brought about winter because she was grieving the loss of her daughter, and those cycles continue to be at play in recognition of her power and her grief and her love. So she is also in Aries, very fierce, defending her own and seeking for the protection of the young. Of course, Aries is the sign that is like the newborn child in the zodiac. It comes out of Pisces. Oh, the wind is wild. Pisces is the womb, the period of gestation, and so when Aries emerges from Pisces, it's this kind of fresh, vital, newborn, innocent energy. And of course, Aries also represents our identity. So this new moon and all of these planets in Aries are really leading us to settle into the truth of who we are, to clear away the ideas and the stories that are preventing us from fully expressing who we are. Also in Aries, of course, on the new moon, we have the sun and the moon at 22 degrees of Aries, and then we have Eris, the goddess of discord, who is the sister of Mars, or Aries, and she's at 24 degrees, and then we have Venus at 26 degrees on this new moon. We are applying to a very strong and powerful square between Venus and Pluto at 26 degrees, which will be exact on the new moon as well. That's immensely powerful, and from today, Friday, the 10th, that square is applying. We have a whole lot of aspects that are applying to exactitude next week. So we're feeling this build up all through the weekend and into next week. So we also have some really positive and creative and flowing aspects between the planets this week, and we have a few challenging ones. That Venus square Pluto is challenging, but it's immensely powerful and productive. We have the nodes making multiple aspects to the planets, very positive aspects by and large, but there's still a tension in them because the nodes of fate represent where we've come from, the karma and the experiences that we're trying to resolve in order to move towards our destiny. So these planets are being activated by this, the nodes of fate, the ideas of destiny, and the consequences and experiences of our past, which we are putting into practice through our learning in order to create something that is far more powerful and true to us, Aries, in future. So the South Node is in Sagittarius, of course, and the South Node represents what we're resolving, what we need to kind of spiritually extinguish in a way, or transmute in order to reach our destiny. And it is in Sagittarius, which is a sign of our beliefs, of higher learning. And so we're kind of expunging old beliefs and old stories about ourselves and about others in order to move forward in a really clear and unobstructed way towards the future. The South Node in Sagittarius is trining Mercury and Chiron. Mercury and Chiron are conjunct. Mercury is at 15 degrees on the new moon. At the moment it's 10 degrees, and Chiron is 9 degrees. So that immediately gives us an indication that in terms of communication and taking action in communication and ideas and beliefs and thoughts and perceptions, not so much beliefs actually, that is more the domain of Jupiter and Sagittarius. In terms of perception, that's very Gemini, very mercurial. There is a healing going on. Chiron triggers the wound and brings it to our attention. Mercury allows us to articulate it, to understand it, to analyze it, to be able to perceive all of the information that it contains, all of the data, all of the possible nuances in that particular perspective, or multiple perspectives, in order to heal those ideas. We also have Mars today sextiling Venus, both of them at 21 degrees. This is really, really beautiful. From today, Venus will move ahead. She'll overcome Mars. And of course, Venus is in Aries. It's not her favorite place to be. It is the sign of Mars, but they are lovers. And in Aries, Venus is really fierce. She has this warrior goddess energy about her, and she is really standing up for what she believes. She represents what we value, what we love. She represents relationships, friendships, money, abundance. And in Aries, she is fighting for something that she values most. And Aries, of course, is the sign of the self. So she is fighting for her rights in a sense. She's fighting for what she believes in, for what is right and what is just. And in that sextile to Mars in Gemini, sextiles are of the nature of Venus as well. So there's a flowing, fluid, harmonious aspect to that relationship between Mars and Venus today. They're helping each other. They're helping each other work. And Mars is in the sign of communication. So we may see this kind of continuing unfolding, particularly, I keep coming back to it, but it's a major theme at the moment, the rise of, you know, women's issues in relation to justice and sexual assault that is continuing to unfold, and that is something that the majority of men are well and truly behind. You know, it's only a limited number of the dinosaur sect who are really fighting against this overwhelming tide of change. So we're going to see some positive outcomes of this dynamic, I think, in this coming week. We also have another challenging aspect, is that Mars is squaring Neptune exactly on today as well, at 21 degrees. The moon is in Pisces, I should mention as well, and the moon is exalted in Pisces, so it's having a lovely time. But Mars squaring Neptune is challenging, because squares are of the nature of Mars. They are, you know, they're challenging. They can be assertive and action oriented, but also aggressive and conflict oriented. Neptune is the planet that represents the higher octave of love and higher consciousness, but it's also the planet associated with confusion and illusions and fantasy. So there can be some tension between, you know, what Mars is wanting to achieve. Mars is I want, and, you know, what's really going on. Some lack of clarity in this dynamic, which is ultimately productive, because it is really going to help us get to the bottom of what our fears are about what we want and what we're trying to achieve, and what we need to communicate and what we need to work with in terms of our ideas and our perceptions to be able to realize that. So, you know, we may be feeling that some of our fears about what we're allowed to have, who we want to be, and whether that's actually possible, those things could be really triggered quite, you know, fairly intensely during this square. And that square is going to last for a little while. We also have Saturn making a number of positive aspects to the planets. Saturn is sextiling the south node in Sagittarius, which suggests that there's kind of extra discipline and support and structure around releasing these old beliefs that we have, which have come to us, or they exist as automatic responses sometimes. These beliefs that we have about ourselves, about the situations in our lives, about what's possible, about what's going on, about other people, etc. And Saturn is helping us to be a little bit more mature in terms of being able to assess whether those things are real or not. Saturn is also sextiling Mercury and Chiron, so that definitely suggests that there is a productive potential to be able to counter these automatic beliefs with an assessment of the facts. What is really going on here? And to be able to find some healing and some learning through that process. Chiron is the healer, but it's also the teacher. He was a teacher of heroes in mythology. We also have Saturn trining the North Node in Gemini. And so trines are of the nature of Jupiter. They're expansive. They are very easy flowing and positive for the most part. So with Saturn trining the North Node in Gemini of ideas, perceptions, information and data, my neighbour's next door doing some business on the phone, again, there's this ability to get clear and perhaps think a little bit more strategically about where we're going, and by assessing all of the data and information that's available to us, and really kind of tuning into our perception in a more mature way. We have, on the new moon, we have Pluto, as I said, squaring Venus. This is really, really powerful. At the same time, Pluto will be squaring the new moon itself, but a little bit more loosely. They're at 22 degrees and Pluto is at 26 degrees. Venus is at 26 degrees. So this is an exact square. And this is extremely powerful because Pluto, wherever Pluto makes an aspect, it's intensely powerful because Pluto represents power. All of the outer planets, Pluto, Saturn, Jupiter, Uranus, Neptune, when they make strong aspects to any of the planets in our natal chart or in the skies, it can be life-changing because they move so slowly that when they impact us, it creates not sudden necessarily, but it creates strong shifts in the world, in our lives. So with Pluto is the planet of, Pluto is Hades, who kidnapped Persephone and took her to the underworld and made her his queen. He has two guises. All the planets have two guises, the archetypes, you know, there are polarities. And as is the case for all of us individually, we have our kind of higher self, you know, the self that we are when we are being truly in integrity with our souls, with our most radiant identity. And then we have the side of ourselves which is the manifestation of our wounds, and it is not the most beautiful part of ourselves. It's the part where our flaws come to the surface, and our flaws teach us how to be better. So it's not bad. It's not a matter of the good self and the bad self, or the good side of the planet and the bad side of the planet, but these are the challenging aspects versus the kind of benefic, positive influences which just bring beauty and joy and wonder. So in the two sides of Hades, you know, Hades kidnapped Persephone and took her down, abducted her and took her down to the underworld. He's the god of death. He's the god of destruction. But she fell in love with him in the underworld, and he doted on her as his queen and made her the most powerful goddess of the lower realms. The goddess of the lower realms, but one of the most powerful goddesses in the pantheon. And she fully stepped into that power. And so he has these two guises, and he was known in mythology under two names, Hades and Pluto. Hades is that dark side of Pluto, and Pluto is the doting husband side. He was also the god of riches. Pluto means riches. And so the symbolism here indicates that wherever we are faced with or find, wherever trauma comes to the surface to be seen, this is where the riches are. This is similar to Chiron in that sense that the wound is triggered and it's painful, but the triggering of the wound brings us the wisdom and the healing and the learning and the ability to teach and pass on that knowledge to others. So Pluto represents our wounds and our traumas. It represents buried, hidden material. It represents power dynamics. And so squaring Venus, Venus is what we love. Venus is, you know, relationships. It is love, friendship, abundance. Venus is what we value most. So with Pluto squaring Venus, we're being asked to get to the bottom of the traumas and the painful buried material that's in the way of us being truly loving towards ourselves, and preventing us from being able to engage in the most powerful relationships that are available to us because we don't fully love ourselves. So there's this opportunity to really get clear about something that is in the way for us, that is going to bring us great riches. Venus also represents abundance, and Pluto is riches. So, you know, some people may actually experience this as a windfall of, you know, financial abundance. For many of us, it may be triggering in relationships. It may bring up difficult stuff that we need to transmute, and the best way to do that is to apply it in Venusian terms and Plutonian terms, which is to really give attention to the thing that is painful. You know, our wounds are like little children. They're like the little wounded, frightened child parts of ourselves, and they're usually buried deep because we have had to repress them, because they weren't given the attention and the love and the awareness that they needed in order to heal. So our job now at this new level of maturity at which we find ourselves is to be the best, most loving parent that we can, bring that Ceres energy, the mother energy, to our wounds, and to sit with our fears, our flaws, our failings, the experiences that have happened to us that have caused us deep trauma and pain, and to show them so much love in a fierce mother lion way. because Venus does have that kind of fierce quality in Aries, but she's very much about love and love of the self and trust of who we're becoming. So that's a really powerful aspect that we're working with this week. And of course it is squaring the new moon as well. And new moons are, as we say every month, they're seeding moments. We plant a seed. So we have this theme of what's in the way of our being able to be truly expressed as who we are is coming up again. It's been coming up so much, and this is coming up very, very powerfully this time with this Pluto square to Aries. So we want to be thinking about what are the seeds that we want to plant for ourselves in terms of our growth, our individuation, our power, the true and loving expression of our power in the world. Pluto's in Capricorn, which rules structures, so we may want to think about what kind of structures could we perhaps shift, change, undo and rebuild that will give us a greater sense of self-worth and self-love. Venus rules self-worth and Aries is the self. We also have a number of beautiful aspects in the lead up to this new moon. I'm kind of talking about all these aspects because they're really building and applying, many of them, towards the new moon and then into next week. So this kind of applies for the whole period of time. But we have three beautiful quintile aspects, and I don't usually talk about quintiles, but these ones are really strong. And quintiles are very creative aspects. They represent, you know, amazing gifts and opportunities. So things may actually come in on these aspects, but they also represent an easy facility, a talent that we can apply to these particular dynamics. So those quintiles are, again, Mars in Gemini, quintiling Mercury and Chiron. So again, those two planets, Mercury and Mars, are in mutual reception. They're very, very helpful and supportive of each other and empowering each other to do the work that each other wants in their signs. And Mercury is conjunct Chiron. So again, there's this really healing opportunity. There's a talent, there's a gift, there's an amazing opportunity now to be able to take action and communicate ideas that are deeply healing for us in relation to the self. We also have Pluto, again, the planet of power, destruction, regeneration and riches, quintiling Mercury and Chiron again. Mercury and Chiron are super, super powerful in these transits over this week. And we also have Jupiter, the planet of abundance and, you know, beliefs and adventure and forward movement, unencumbered, unobstructed. It is quintiling the south node in Sagittarius, and Jupiter rules Sagittarius. So Jupiter may be helping this south node release of old beliefs and old ideas, preparing to clear the way for a new way of being and a new adventure in the world moving forward into this new sort of astrological year. Although, as I said, the sun moving into Aries marks the beginning of the astrological year, the new moon in Aries is really the activation. It's all on, baby. It's all on. And this month has some really challenging aspects overall, and the full moon coming is a very intense one. We'll do that in a separate post. But there are also some incredibly auspicious moments this month and a huge amount of energy that is pushing us forward. The momentum is really, really powerful this month. And we're going to touch on that in a moment as well. We have a couple of other stresses that are occurring along with this new moon, and that is that the south node is sesqui square Venus on the new moon, and sesqui squares are a square and a half. So they're a square with more tension, and they are usually manifest in events around us. So we may well see, you know, more information coming to light relating to people's beliefs around issues that relate to women, because Venus represents women. And the south node, of course, is what we are relinquishing. It is what we are, it's what's diminishing. So we may see a culmination or an ending perhaps, although that's less likely on a new moon, of course, but some kind of release of material that is in the way of this rising Venus. And this is another point that I want to touch on, that Venus is growing in power this month. This week she is growing in power. As I said, she is in Aries. That is the place of her fall. She rules the opposite sign of Aries, so it's not her natural home place, but that's not a bad thing. It's just not her most powerful place. But she is moving into her own sign of Taurus on the 15th of April. And not only that, she is emerging as the evening star. She has been the morning star for quite a few months now. Venus has been a morning star since June 2020, and she is, as a morning star, she is less evolved, shall we say. She is more materially oriented. She is a younger energy. Venus is naturally a night planet. So when she emerges as the evening star, she is in her full power. She is the goddess of love. She is far more capable of ruling over kind of fairness and justice and diplomacy and beautiful love relationships. She's kind of more akin to Venus in Libra as opposed to Venus in Taurus, but she is moving into Taurus. And of course, Taurus is the sign of the abundant earth and material abundance and wealth and sensual, tactile beauty. And so she emerges as the goddess of love, as the evening star in Taurus. She moves into Taurus on the 15th. She emerges, we may see her in the sky around the 20th, but as soon as she moves into Taurus, she is in her rulership. She is immensely powerful. At the moment, she's still in Aries, as I said, and she still combusts the sun. So when she made that Kazemi moment with the sun, there was this seeding moment between those two celestial bodies. And as she moved out of that Kazemi position in the throne of the sun, she is now being burned up again by the rays of the sun. So she is emerging from that combustion, that burning. She's in recovery. She's not in her full power yet, but when she moves into Taurus, everything is going to change. We are going to feel a noticeable difference in our energy. Things will feel a little bit easier, a little bit more beautiful, because up until now, all of 2021, since the very beginning of January, in fact, since the insurrection on the US Capitol, we have had every single planet in the sky is answering to Saturn, and Saturn is one of the most difficult planets that we have to deal with. He is the hard taskmaster. He is authoritarian rule. He is obstacles, restrictions, limitations, fears, decay, the ending of things, but also discipline, maturity, persistence, you know, working towards a goal, working, doing things again, improving, getting better. Saturn has been ruling everything. Every single planet in the sky answers to Saturn all of 2021. But when Venus moves into Taurus, then half the sky is answering to Venus. Or maybe not half the planets, but quite a few will be answering to Venus. So this basically brings me to the next really exciting thing that I wanted to talk about this week, and that is that following the new moon, we have one of the most auspicious electional days of the year coming up on Thursday, the 15th of April. Now, for those of you who don't know what electional astrology is, that is the practice of electing the ideal day to do something, to begin something, a marriage, a project, a business, you know, anything that is important and of value. You can work out the most opportune moment in accordance with where the planets are in the sky and where the ascendant of the exact moment is, to create the best, most successful and lasting outcomes for whatever the thing is that you're choosing. So we have a really powerful day next week. There are quite a few moments actually next week. Next week is a great time to begin anything that's important to you. But I wanted to tell you about the most amazing moment if you really want to start a project or a business or a venture or something that's really dearly important to you, that you want to be successful. 2 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, Australian Eastern Standard Time, on Thursday, the 15th of April, is a great time to press send on any applications, project proposals, or anything else, because there is so much positive alignment in that particular moment. It's known as an Immortal Yoga day, and that is because the sun is exalted in Aries. It's at 28 degrees of Aries on that day, and the moon will be in Taurus, and the moon is exalted in Taurus. I think I said it was exalted in Pisces at the beginning, and that's, I always think that for some reason. I don't think it's true. So the moon is exalted in Taurus, Venus is in Taurus, Mars and Mercury are in mutual reception with one another, and we have Venus at 0 degrees of Taurus, so she's at the most, powerful degree of her Venusian beauty and abundance and potential. Mars is also making a trine to Jupiter, and Jupiter's at 25 degrees and Mars is at 24 degrees. So Mars is applying to a trine. So when an aspect is applying, he's at 24, Jupiter's at 25, it means that that opportunity is growing. And Jupiter is the planet of, it's the greater benefic, the planet of abundance, opportunities, like material wealth, forward moving freedom and flow. So with Mars in Gemini, the planet that rules business, the sign that rules business, and information, ideas, communication, travel, vehicles, siblings, all of that kind of stuff. And Mars is the planet of action, of assertion, of moving forward towards what we want. That beautiful trine, and trines are of the nature of Jupiter as well, so they are abundant and benefic, extremely fortunate. That applying aspect is such good juju. So over this new moon period, the build up to the new moon, of course, we're coming to the dark moon. The new moon is the dark moon as it begins to emerge into this growing new cycle of awareness and consciousness. I want you guys to think about what it is that you most want to grow in your lives right now, and think about how that applies to your sense of self as well, and self-love and self-actualization. But what are the things that you want to set in motion, that you want to be successful now? Plan to do those things and to press the send button at 2 p.m. Australian Eastern Standard Time, adjust it to your time zone, for the most auspicious outcomes. Literally whatever begins at such an auspicious time is destined to go quite easily. Not that there won't be challenges, there will be challenges, there are challenges in the sky on this day as well. There is no absolutely perfect electional moment or astrological moment. There are always challenges, as in life. But this is a really amazing little window to get something started that's going to be so fabulously successful in time, and with far less obstacles than might usually be the case. So yeah, think about what that is for you, and best of luck, my beautiful friends. I would love to hear in time what emerges for you. Write it down as well. That's another thing. At the moment, we have so many aspects to the nodes of fate, of karma and fate, karma and destiny, that you want to be paying attention to what's happening all this week. This is quite a karmic time, and things could be coming in that don't seem so major but may have a major impact on your life in the long term. And we may be looking back to this time in the future and remembering that this is when a lot of things started for us that really began moving us forward in the direction that we really, really want to go. We've had, as I said, we've all been answering to Saturn, so we've had so many obstacles, so many restrictions, so much hard work. And in Aries, we're meant to be feeling more energized. I feel a bit more energized today, even though I hardly slept last night, but I've generally been feeling totally exhausted. I wonder how all my Aries rising friends out there, or Aries sun signs, Aries moons, like, let me know, how are things for you? Like, are you also feeling completely exhausted, or are you feeling the spark of energy? And for the rest of you guys, let me know as well. I'd be really interested to know. But especially, I will be interested to hear what amazing projects or life babies, life projects that you will be germinating now and that come to seed and fruition